one of the correspondents here, and today I am excited to be joined by Robert Hendricks. He's the U.S. spokesperson for Jehovah's Witnesses, and we have an exhilarating conversation we're about to have, and hopefully we can give some great insight to our viewers here today. Robert, thanks so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Well, so today, of course, many people around the world and right here locally in New Orleans are celebrating, having big family gatherings regarding and celebrating Christmas. And of course, many people know that Jehovah's Witnesses don't celebrate Christmas. Can you share a little bit about why that is?
Well, certainly. And one of the things we have to say is we understand that many in the community feel that Christmas is perhaps their favorite time of year. And we understand that because they make it about family. And so many people tell us that, well, it's really not about that anyway. It's about family and getting together. And it's true. It can be a festive time. Many feel good about it. But what we try to do as Jehovah's Witnesses is we try to look at how God might view things. And so even though there are very positive aspects to celebrating, getting families together, even thinking about Jesus at this time, it really is good for us to think about, well, how would God view a holiday that celebrates the birthday of Jesus when we weren't told to do it in the Bible, when the holiday actually is a replacement for a pagan holiday on the very same time of year. It replaced it. When Jesus was clearly not born on December 25th, and it's well documented that he wasn't. And when there's all of these other parts of this that might be unsavory to him. And so we've chosen to not celebrate his birth, which probably was in October, but to follow the command to celebrate his death, his sacrifice for us, and his resurrection as a mighty spirit creature and the king of God's kingdom.
That's beautiful. I know, giving gifts is something people love to do, and it's spending time with family, as you mentioned, is a great component of that. But you guys don't not do those things.
Well, we love gift giving. We certainly don't want to wait for a date to do that. But to be frank with you, we recognize that the times we do it are maybe on a wedding anniversary or when somebody gets married, some special occasion. But when you tie gift giving to a particular day, I think many feel a sense of, well, they just feel a sense of burden. Some love it and others just feel very stressed about it. And we don't want to stress people out. We don't want to feel people, to make people feel like they have to do something. And it comes around this season. The season has become very commercial. It's become all about what's new and what's the latest. And so we do enjoy not participating in that. To be frank with you, it takes a lot of pressure off us. The things that people say when they become a Jehovah's Witness is, you know what, it was so much stress, Christmas, even though they love parts of it, there were other parts that they didn't. And so when we think about gift giving, we think about giving flowers, like I gave flowers to my wife a couple of weeks ago, and celebrating our anniversaries, or giving a gift because we love somebody, or because they need something from us, or simply something small, not making it about what the gift is, but what's behind the gift. And when you give a gift and it's not expected, it's so much more special. When you give a gift for somebody in need and it actually fills a need that they have, it actually is useful and special, and really is an expression not of what you must do, but it's an expression of what you want to do. And that's really what Christian giving is all about.
Yeah, that's so true. And then my family and I, once I started getting older, we kind of shied away from doing it just because it seems like an obligation. And that point you made about it being lifting that burden, it's just so real. And that's exactly how it feels now, not being a part of that. Now, I know another thing I wanted to talk to you about is, many in the public and the community are used to seeing Jehovah's Witness going door to door, knocking on doors, or in public areas, witnessing and such. Where have all the Jehovah's Witnesses gone?
Yes, I think we've been asking that too. And it has been quite a paradigm shift for Jehovah's Witnesses. There's no doubt about it. We have prided ourselves on persisting in the preaching work, persisting in our door-to-door ministry and our cart witnessing in cities and on street corners. And it's been quite a shift for us. But, back in February, when we began to look at the situation around this country in particular and other places in the world like Italy, it was very clear that that to persist in our preaching work in our public meetings was not consistent with our message. And here's why. We go to doors because we love people. We go to doors because we are obeying Christ's second commandment to love our neighbor as ourself. And the question we had to face was, would we want somebody knocking on our door right now and asking to share something with us, perhaps even handing something to us or having a physical contact? And the answer was no. And that was right in line with the most important principle. And that important principle was the sanctity of life. God views life as sacred. We view life as sacred. And so the two principles of love of neighbor, sacredness, the sanctity of life really drove us to an inevitable conclusion, which really, as simple as it was as difficult as it was. In other words, it was a simple way to address the situation. It was simple to come to the conclusion: we have to suspend our public ministry. It was difficult because it's what defined us not only as an organization but also as individuals. I've been knocking on doors since I could walk. I've been publishing the gospel since I was 6 years old. And so it's something that's inside of me, something that I love to do, I want to do. It's something that gave me great pleasure, and I really had a good effect on people. I love doing it. And so to be told that it's over for now, it's suspended, was a big shift for me personally and for many in our organization. But I tell you, in the last 9 months, we've seen amazing results in another way.
Mm-hmm. And you made that point about, people knocking on your door. I think there was a delivery man who knocked on my door during COVID, and I was just like, who was there? It's just like the scariest thing. So that's a great example of just how, that thought went into the decision there. I know Jehovah's Witnesses also just recently wrapped up a global campaign that was preaching and sharing the kingdom ministry and the kingdom message. Can you tell me a little bit about that campaign and overall what the message being shared was?
Yeah, so that kind of relates to where we went with our ministry, because when we decided that there would no longer be a public ministry going out from door to door and being in the cities and visiting people, making personal visits, there was a new way of doing it. And it wasn't new for us. It was new for some of us individually. And that was going out and writing letters, staying home, and writing letters, and also reaching people on phone witnessing by telephone, and also reaching out to those who had expressed interest in the past, and friends and family through letter writing and telephone witnessing. So all of this was something that we really, really enjoyed doing in the beginning, because it started shifting our thinking. And people like me who hadn't done that, I've done door-to-door return visits, Bible studies all my life. It was a new way, but it wasn't a way that was foreign to us, because for many years we have said, you know what, we have to really change the way we're doing our work. We have to reach out in different ways because people aren't home anymore. And so with this campaign, we had about 8 months of practice of writing letters, and all of a sudden now this campaign comes, and we have a special magazine on God's kingdom, and we were being asked to send it to every government official, to every business owner in our territories, in our areas, and to those who expressed interest, to friends and relatives, to those who we thought would be interested in it. And it has had phenomenal results. And it's the first time in our history as an organization that we've made a global effort to reach every single governmental leader and every business in the world. And we've put together some massive numbers as a result.
I want to ask you too one last question. Do you have any? Because I know I've heard personally some stories about how this message has been received locally from some of the congregation members, and I wanted to just see if you had any good insight or stories about the work and how the messages have been received, or how they're being shared.
Well, we've had many people who have contacted us. Some, believe it or not, who are in politics now, who have been associated with Jehovah's Witnesses before, have reached out to us. In addition to that, those who have dealt with us before. For example, there was a senator from one state who also is involved with a local hospital. And so they called us and they said, we have your folks, Jehovah's Witnesses, we serve them all the time. And we wonder why they don't use the Bible that we provide for them, because they were providing the Gideon Bible, which is a fine translation. We have no issue with the Gideon Bible. But our brothers and sisters typically would want a Bible that has God's name in it, that has it restored to its proper place. The name Jehovah in the original writings of the Bible appeared almost 7,000 or over 7,000 times. And so when a Jehovah's Witness picks up a Bible that has taken that name out, they don't feel a kinship to it. So they want their own Bible. And so he said, would you mind, after explaining that, he said, would you mind sending us Bibles so we can provide it for our facility? And we certainly did. And we obliged him on that clearly. And then he said, I really respect you as a people, because you're law-abiding, you're really good members of the community, very productive members, and I respect what you do in your ministry. Why don't you vote? You would be such an asset if you participated in the political process. So that was an interesting conversation for one of our folks to actually have with him. And he explained to the senator that just like Jesus, who said his kingdom was no part of this world, who did not participate in politics, we stay neutral. And staying neutral to politics, staying neutral to these very divisive situations, allows us to stay unified as a brotherhood worldwide in 240 lands. 8.5 million of our brothers and sisters. We're politically neutral, so it helps us to be unified, but it also helps us to deliver our message. If we were writing to government officials and they knew us as a Republican or a Democrat or a Libertarian, they not necessarily would read it if they were on the other side of the issue. So we choose to be on the side of God's kingdom, and to obey its laws, its principles, to have that the main focus of our life, to recognize that really God's kingdom is the only government that could clean up this earth, that could truly unify people, that could take away war. And so we're voting for that. We're campaigning for that. And to campaign for that means we can't put our allegiance in other places, and so we don't. So we appreciated that, and that was a really great discussion. We don't know where it will go. We know, though, that we'll be able to send some Bibles to him, and that will also be an additional service that he can render to those who he cares for in that hospital.
And they'll have a greater understanding, and having a common understanding in what you believe and what they believe.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have for today. And I really just want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to come on and share some of these inspiring messages and words of encouragement for our viewers and with me.
Thank you very much, Casey. And please, anybody who is interested in learning more about what we do, one of the things about Jehovah's Witnesses is that we put everything out there. So on jw.org, you can actually go and see everything that we believe. Every question you have is answered there. And right within that website is our JW Broadcasting, where you can see the videos that we put out in the monthly programs, but also our Watchtower Online. It's WLL. And Watchtower Online basically has all of our literature, everything that we've written over the last 50 years, accessible to the public. So please, there's also a virtual Bible study program there. So please go to jw.org, and if you have any questions, you can even email us, and we'll answer them personally.
I'll hold you to that.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Robert.
Thank you.